We have reached that point, boys and girls. It's time for the final show before the regular season begins. As the Saints prepare for the Carolina Panthers in the Dome on Sunday, I know must win is a dumb thing to say in week one, but really, folks, this is pretty close, isn't it? It's Friday, so you know that means the Athletics' Larry Holder is here with me. We're going to share our thoughts on Sunday's game, look ahead to the best games in the NFL in week one, although I'm not sure anything can top the opener that we saw in Kansas City last night. I am still abuzz. How about you? We're going to give our final preseason predictions for who will take a trip to New Orleans in Super Bowl 59. Hang on to your hats and keep your toes off the white line. Dattitude Podcast is next.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, New Orleans? And hello to my friends elsewhere, everywhere, out there, who wished Isaiah likely wore a size 12 shoe instead of a size 14. You know, if he had, the Ravens would be 1-0. Of course, if Lamar Jackson hadn't missed a wide-open Zay Flowers by 3 yards the play before, Ravens also would be 1-0. You know who is undefeated? Dattitude, episode number 275, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Friday, September the 6th, 2024. I am your host, Jim Derry. Whether you're watching on one of our NOLA.com social media channels or listening on demand to the podcast. As always, we thank you for being a part of the Dattitude family. You know how you can talk to us. It's Friday. Uncle Big Nick's being a smartass already. The regular season began yesterday. Not for us, it didn't. Your regular season doesn't begin on Monday, so why don't you just go back to sleep? Crawl in a hole. We'll talk to you next week. And give me some more picks. Dylan Smith, who dat? This is a must-win. Let's go. A-Town, indeed. Gabe is in the green room. Larry will be in the green room in just a moment. Let's go. This rainy, ugly, stinking Friday morning. It has been the weirdest week. I told you this yesterday. I'm not complaining. Again, there's lots of other jobs I could have, so I'm not complaining. I do a podcast for a living and go on shows and write NFL picks. By the way, I'm like the weather people. When I'm right, I got to toot my own horn. I'm just saying I'm 1-0. Not only am I 1-0, because I will never be undefeated again after today. Well, maybe I'll get the Packers Eagles game right. We'll see. But when you get the first one right, you got to brag about it, because I might be 5-9 at the end of the week. Who knows? I said Chiefs 26, Ravens 20. And the only reason why I said 26-20 instead of 27-20, I actually typed in 27-20. And then at the time, the over-under was 47. And I'm like, I guess I got to pick a side. So I lowered it by a point to take the under. Was wrong with the under, by the way. So there you go. You know how to be a part of the show. You're already doing it. Type in your comment on YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're watching. I mean, a lot of you are watching on Facebook. Now, the regulars are now watching on YouTube. We love our regulars. They're here almost every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But if you're not a regular and you enjoy what you see, me telling it the way that I think it is, then switch over to the YouTube page. You don't have to do it now, but make sure you go subscribe. Yesterday, I had a goal. We wanted to go up 150% from March 1st, which was our quote-unquote rebranding day, to the start of the regular season, which was yesterday, technically. We hit it yesterday. How about that for hitting goals? Thanks to Gabe Henderson for all the help he's doing. Got the shorts rolling on YouTube. We got a TikToks roll. We hit the same exact number on TikTok, too. on the same day. I don't know how it happened, but it did. Maybe somebody upstairs is helping. You can get in touch with me on here. You can talk to me here, or you can talk to me on X at Jim Derry Jr. via email at jderry@theadvocate.com. You know what's fun about football season and all this stuff that's going on? You know, my wife messed with me yesterday because went on the Final Bet show last night, and she says, "You didn't shave?" I'm like, no, I don't feel like shaving. It's the weather sucks. She goes, "You look like an idiot." So I haven't shaved all week. She's giving me grief for it. She goes, "I can't believe you go on TV looking like that." I'm like, nobody cares. It's a bunch of dudes watching the shows that I go on. They could care less if I shave or not. And you don't put any Blistex on, your lips are chapping. Who cares? Does anybody really care? Okay, I'll do it. I'll shave. Oh, I forgot. Robbo Combs. Saints go 7-10. LSU 10-2. Saints get a new coach and a new quarterback in 2025. Boy, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves there, Robbo. But I said 7-10, so I'm with you. And if they go 7-10, they're going to get a new coach. Are they going to get a new quarterback? UBN, you were thinking I should shave? Say I can't. Should shave. Say that 10 times fast. Why do you give a rat's ass if I shave or not? And especially tonight, going to do our first prep game of the year, Shaw and Carr. It's the big game of the week. It's where most of the TV stations will be tonight. First game of the year, and it's going to be played in a monsoon. I texted Coach Hank this morning just to make sure. You know, I know it's a dumb question when you're talking about football. Are y'all really playing? Or if you change anything, let me know. He says, the only way we're changing anything is if the good Lord comes down and says we can't play or someone else. He goes, otherwise, and I quote, Carr is swimming their asses to Marrero. There you go. So they're playing tonight, and we'll be there. Luckily, I'll be indoors. I'll have a roof over my head, that is. It's going to be nasty, but that benefits the Eagles. Whether they can take advantage of it, we'll see. I know we haven't talked a whole lot about prep football, and I know most of you on here probably that's not your thing. But I do want to get it in at different points. I'm going to have Coach Hank on at some point. I really want to have Coach JT on. So much to talk about with him. My friend Coach Salt, Nick Saltzmaggio, who's now at Franklinton, state championship winning coach. Going to have him on at some point, but not today. All right. Prep football is also, again, their regular season begins tonight in the state of Louisiana. I know elsewhere it's already started. So Mississippi, I think they're in week 3. So I don't know what it's like in Texas. Gabe, I have no idea if they started already. He might not even know. Week two in Texas. Okay. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about LSU Nichols. We talked about it yesterday. And then Tulane, Kansas State. Of course, the Wildcats are a 9-point favorite. Big game for the Green Wave. Again, this is kind of the game that will kind of dictate your season as you go along. If you win this game, you got a path. If you win this game at home, 11 a.m. Saturday, ESPN, you got a path. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying 10-1 is a good value on the Wave to make the college football playoff. Not sure they're going to do it. Brian says he's still trying to fit Thursday shows, and I get it. Look, you can't make every show. That's why we're here on demand. You can watch it later. You don't have to watch it when it's on. Why should we worry about a revamped Panthers? Well, Larry's going to answer that in just a moment. He's actually in the green room. Robbo says the Saints have no identity. When Drew was quarterback, they had a strong one. You know, I don't know if I believe that or not. You see what's going to be on the show today. Larry's in the green room, so we're going to get to him in just a moment. It's going to be all Saints. We're going to talk about we're going to spend more than half the show probably on Saints-Panthers. Larry and I are going to have our postseason predictions, and I'll just say this. They're very scary. Our postseason predictions, you don't want to miss it. Whether you're going to agree with us or not, Larry and I we agree on a lot of things, but I'm just going to say this. Weird. Very weird. So you want to see that. Before we get to Larry, let me continue the story about our friends at Evangeline Securities. You still thinking about it, huh? You haven't made that call to Evangeline Securities yet? We get it. It's a tough decision, wondering whether it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. One thing about getting in touch with our friends Nick, Braden, and Ron Hemel at Evangeline, they will begin simply by helping you figure out what your business is worth. Then, and only then, if you decide to proceed, you do so at your own pace. They will schedule a complimentary valuation. Then y'all can go from there. Do whatever you want. Decide you want to, you know what, I'm going to go home and eat some red beans and got a set of white walls on the other line. I'll call you later. It's up to you. You already know Nick and Ron are native New Orleanians. They're one of us. They came home from New York City to serve the people they love, the people that mean the most to them. They have offices on Poydras Street and in Lafayette. More on this later in the show. But in the meantime, you can check them out at www. Say that 10 times fast, buddy D. EvangelineSecurities.com. All right. It's that time of the day on Friday. It's Friday morning. You know what that means. Larry Holder of The Athletic, NFL beat writer. You got a lot going on this week, my friend.
It's not slow. I can tell you that. Certainly not slow. I mean, I get double appearance on the Dattitude podcast. This morning I go on TV and Saints cheerleaders show up right behind me out of like nowhere.
The Saints cheerleaders showed up behind you.
Yeah. It's almost like they were expecting my enthusiasm, at least for week one. So they figured, why not come on set? Why not?
Well, I'm glad you're on this set, my friend. As always, every Friday throughout the football season, and actually before, you've been on this about the 7th or 8th week. Yeah, we had 8 weeks of preview, so this is week number 8. So thank you for that.
I mean, yeah, we did it early this year. Like we started this thing up. You couldn't wait to get into our crazy predictions.
Couldn't wait. And today's going to be the craziest of all. Chris Kennedy says, who dat, baby? Big Sean says, coin flip, trap game. I guess you could have a trap game in a week. If you can have a must win in week 1, you can have a trap game in week 1. Robbie says, son graduated from Tulane in the early 90s. We could walk into the Superdome, sit anywhere you wanted. Greenies drew 15,000 a game. Robbo, I'm not sure it's any different now, except that they play at Yulman Stadium, but they're probably drawing now they might say they're drawing more than 15,000 a game, but I know there was still empty seats last week. We'll see what it's like for K-State on Saturday. It's a big game. Real quick, Larry, you like Tulane? They're 9-point underdogs, but this is the kind of game that could define their season.
I like their chances considering they don't have to go up against Will Howard. He is now at Ohio State. So I think that gives them a better shot, especially at home. And look, to me, I just think that Tulane, I think they're still a team to be reckoned with. And I think they're starting to figure it out at quarterback. They probably know which way they probably need to go. And and I see Gabe chiming in. Avery Johnson is better than Will Howard. Well, I've seen Avery
Johnson.
Well, I've seen Will Howard play well, and there's a reason why he's at Ohio State starting. I think he's a viable quarterback.
Gabe says he thinks Avery Johnson is better than Will Howard.
Yeah, I see that. He's already chiming in from the abyss.
Yeah,
Gabe is here.
Whatever. I don't know, man. He's all over K-State. Every time I bring up the game, he just starts shaking his head in the green room.
He must like L. Roberson. Does he miss him and Darren Sproles and
Darren Sproles? Wow,
exactly.
Gabe says he said Kansas State thinks he has Heisman futures on both. Okay, well, we'll see. All right, let's get into the New Orleans Saints. 4-point favorites. This line has, and I forgot to fix this. That's actually should be a +4 on the Panthers, and I screwed it up. It's +4. Panthers are +4. So the Saints are 4-point favorites. If you're wondering what that 41.5 means, you're not a better. That is the over/under. So the people in Vegas think that the final score will add up to somewhere around 41 points. So 41.5, either 41 or 42 points. We'll see how it goes. But and I asked the question, and this is the number one question, and we've kind of talked about it off and on throughout the last couple months. I hate, and I know Sean Payton he'd want to punch somebody if somebody asked him this. right now. But is week one with this schedule that you see their first 6 games on the screen to the left, and if you can't see it and you don't know it, after the Panthers, it's at Cowboys, Eagles, at Falcons, at Chiefs, then home for the Buccaneers. Is this a must-win, Larry Holder?
On paper, yes. In the grand scheme of things, as if you were, say, asking someone like Sean Payton, they would, of course, say no, because you don't know how the division's going to shake out, if these teams are actually as good as we think or as bad as they think. And you never know with injuries. Some of these games might be more winnable in 3 weeks than they would be, say, today.
Right.
But we look at it on paper, absolutely. Given that it's Dallas, Philly, the Chiefs, Falcons, Tampa, all these teams that you're either underdogs or a coin flip. This is the one where you're the favorite and you should come out and win this game. So to me, it has to be in their minds, just given the circumstances of how the team's landscape is, of where they are as a franchise overall. They're just kind of meandering in the middle. I mean, look, you got to win this game. And look, and we're going to go over kind of the ins and outs of the Panthers and kind of matchups. But look, the Saints, there's a reason why they're a favorite, even though we have question marks about them.
Can you imagine the fan base and what it's going to be like for everyone in this town next week if they lose this game?
I would imagine hearing fire this person,
fire,
get a new quarterback, start Spencer Rattler, the season's over.
They're already kind of doing that.
I know, but that would be amplified if this were to happen to Bryce Young and the Panthers' new coach, and Bryce Young coming off of one of the worst seasons as a rookie starting quarterback in the last 25 years. I mean, he is way down there. Like, I'll just put this in perspective, and I know we're diving into it, but Chris Winkie had a better season in some of the metrics.
It's Winkie.
That I use.
Don't call him Winkie.
I'm purposely using a Panthers first-round rookie quarterback in comparison to Bryce Young. He had a better season in some of the metrics that I like to study than Bryce Young did. Not Jimmy Clausen.
Right.
He was one of the few that had a worse, but like Bryce Young ranked 56 out of 61 in a metric I use, EPA per drop back for a rookie quarterback. And that's not good. Not good.
No. I hear you. Big Sean, yes, it's a must win. Mike's got a lot of confidence in the Saints. Who dat 6-11 this year? I don't think I've ever seen who dat followed by 6-11 this year, but you did it. Big Sean also says their defense is what's going to get us over the hump to the winning side. Their defense is pretty good too. And it is. You look at the numbers on the screen, they were third against the run last year, Larry, but I think that this team, and I know you and I talked about in the previews, you don't necessarily think their defense is better. They did lose Brian Burns, but just overall in yards per game, they were fourth total, although in points they were 29th. So that's kind of quite a disparagement. Fourth in points, fourth in yards allowed, but 29th in points allowed.
That is definitely an odd.
It really is
figure there. Well, look, if you're talking defense, they lost Burns, but Derek Brown is certainly one of the better interior players in the NFL. Jadeveon Clowney comes to town, and to me, he's going to forever live those 1-year deals. He's basically living the every year you go to a new team type of deal. It's what Chase Young is trying to avoid. He's basically trying to have a prove-it deal so the Saints would extend him long-term. And if it pans out that way, then the Saints are probably in really good shape. But, yeah, you look at it, and it more comes down to its offense for the Panthers. It's the same story. The defense is probably stronger in Carolina. The defense is probably stronger here in New Orleans. And it comes down to offensive production for both of these teams if they want to have any sort of success this year.
Yeah, look, I hear you. I just think the Saints defense is going to give the Panthers offense a lot of problems. And I do think in the long run that Dave Canales will make this team better. But I just, I'm like a lot of Saints fans in the fact that there's no question that even though the numbers, if you look on the screen, the offense and defense basically had the same rankings, I don't think anyone legitimately thinks that the offense is ahead of the defense, especially right now with the Saints' woes on offensive line. So, look, this defense is going to have to step up. That number of 13th in yards per game allowed, that's going to have to be in the top 10 for this team to have any chance to win.
Oh, absolutely. When we discussed earlier this week and we did the NFC South preview, I said if the Saints want to win 10 games, that 13th total needs to maybe be cut in half.
Right.
Like 7th or 6th. And that would likely improve that points one from 8th to, say, 6th, 5th. Like that's what you need to be. And I'm looking at that schedule right now. After this week, you're going against offenses that are known for being productive. Cowboys, Eagles. The Falcons' offense is going to be better. And, of course, the Chiefs. And, Tampa, I still think is a bit of a question mark offensively. But after this week, the defense really needs to clamp down because those teams can typically put up points. And so, you need a kind of a showing that maybe scares some of the teams that you're going to be going up against in the next few weeks after this game. You need to have shown on tape you could put pressure on the quarterback. You need to show on tape that your linebacking crew with three, to me, either you got elite to good. Demario Davis is elite. Willie Gay can be good. Pete Werner, when he's right, to me can be good. And that secondary, you look at, you need Marshawn Lattimore to be Pro Bowl, All-Pro. Tyrann Mathieu to be that difference maker. You feel good about Adebo. You feel good about Alontae Taylor. If Kool-Aid's got to play and play his role, like that all needs to add up for this to even get to 3-3 in this first slate of 6 games.
Big Sean says he doesn't care how bad our team is. We've beaten the Cowboys. Let's not jump ahead of ourselves. But, I said this on Final Bet last night with Garland, and that Zach Ewing was talking about his crazy prediction for the year is that the Saints lose to the Panthers and then beat the Cowboys. I mean, you could see weird. I think last night, and we're going to talk about last night in a minute, but I think last night shows you, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, that I thought this was going to be the craziest year in the NFL that maybe we've ever seen. The last couple of years have been so much fun. I just think there's all kinds of crazy things in store. And that would definitely fit in if you lose to the Panthers and then go on the road and beat the Cowboys. That would be quite interesting.
Well, the Cowboys have a tough week 1 matchup.
Yes, they do.
With the Browns.
At the Browns.
And you're talking about defenses that can play. Look, the Browns can play. I mean, there's no doubt
Browns
about it.
are favored.
And that makes sense. It's at Cleveland. And the question there certainly is Deshaun Watson. Can he ever be what they anticipated? Because you're waiting in Cleveland to kind of get back to your bread and butter. It's run the football. That would be if Nick Chubb can come back after being out the first 4 weeks, if he can be ready to play and go. But look, the Dallas game, Cowboys could be reeling. I mean, there's if they lose, and then that's going to be amplified. Oh my gosh, I don't know. Imagine if Dak Prescott plays poorly. Oh my gosh, Mike McCarthy, Jerry Jones. So it's again. Well, we're looking ahead. All these things.
Yeah.
The Saints can't afford to look ahead about.
No, they can't, and they're probably not.
No, they're not. Yeah. I know they're not. They
well, here's my question for you. Can you tell me what Ty means by Derek Carr likes tomatoes in his gumbo? I mean, look, I don't put tomatoes in my gumbo, but if somebody made me gumbo and had tomatoes in it, I would probably eat it.
I'm guessing that means he is not any sort of New Orleanian and shouldn't be. That's my my read on that.
I mean, how many of these people are really New Orleanians except for Tyrann Mathieu, Foster Moreau? I mean, I don't know.
If you hear long enough, Cam Jordan's probably a New Orleanian. Kamara,
I'll say this though,
I like a New Orleanian.
I like the weird comments, Ty. You guys, y'all got something. Yeah, y'all got a long way to go to beat that one. If you can beat Derek Carr likes tomatoes in his gumbo, I'll show it on the screen. Big Sean says that Saints got to win because his wife's a Cowboys fan. All right, look. Here's the thing that's I've been thinking about the last couple of weeks when it comes to this team, because we made our predictions on Wednesday show. Anybody who wants to watch, we did the NFC South preview on Friday, Larry and I. We've actually previewed every division, all 8 divisions, and given our predictions for each. But my question that we never really talked about is, after that last Saints game last year, despite the fact that they won by a bazillion points, they leave with this bad taste and leave a bad taste in Who Dat Smiles because Dennis Allen is apologizing. I'm not going to go into that whole thing. I got plenty of time to be negative in the regular season. Again, I'm trying to keep it positive, brother, during the until we get into the regular season. But my question is, Dennis Allen seems to have got these players together again. I think it looks like he went to the big guns. He went to the Cam Jordans of the world. He went to Tyrann Mathieu, not just Derek Carr, probably some other players on offense. And it seems like the chemistry that was lacking maybe at the end of the season, or maybe the lack of faith in their head coach, it seems like, at least for now, it seems like all is right with the world, with the Saints. Does that matter? And I mean, I really believe that they feel this way. You've covered plenty teams. How much does that have to do with legitimate success?
I think team chemistry and buying in certainly does, because a lot of times when you have inferior talent, if you are more in tune with the message and the messenger puts together a good enough game plan for you week in and week out, and you buy in and it works, that leads you to success. That was, to me, the blueprint of the Super Bowl year. They weren't superior in talent than every team in the league.
Yeah.
But game week, get in and out, they did what they had to do. And then you gain confidence and you're playing and getting better. Like, that matters. And so, because we've seen over the years teams that are uber talented and still, even last year, like the Chiefs, they were not playing their best football all year, and their receiving core wasn't as talented as we've seen in the past. And they figured it out and came together and made it work. And lo and behold, they win a Super Bowl. So I think that is a big deal. And I'm reading Gabe's comment. The Eagles last year, all the names in the world say on that defense, and they had a great offensive line, talent everywhere, and they weren't buying in. And you saw what happened. And they had to change coordinators both sides. Nick Sirianni's on the hot seat. That is, to me, a big deal. So look, if the Saints can kind of come together collectively and do that and play above their heads, and then they believe, and then they become better players and are better than the teams talent-wise that maybe you see on the schedule. So I definitely believe in that.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Uncle Big Nick's trying to battle Ty for the crazy comment. I don't think it beats Derek Carr likes tomatoes in his gumbo, but
I like this trend, though. I think you're right. Let's do it.
But Uncle Big Nick says Spencer Rattler wears flip-flops on bourbon.
I've done that. You know me in flip-flops.
I'm
Why
sure
not?
you wore flip-flops and a visor on Bourbon Street before.
Absolutely.
There's zero question.
You're fearless.
Yeah, or something like that. PBM, you're getting ahead of us because we're going to talk. The Chiefs were lucky in the playoffs, and Purdy choked in the Super Bowl.
Purdy did not choke in the Super Bowl.
I don't agree with that at all.
No. Purdy did plenty enough to win.
I don't agree that the Chiefs were lucky, because I think they make their own luck. You don't win 2 Super Bowls, to me, by luck in a row, back to back. They won more than 2. But Gabe and I, our rule in the playoffs is you don't bet against God. You just don't. So that's just, we are jumping
unless
ahead
he
of
goes
ourselves.
against two quarterbacks and one's retired.
The 49ers fan didn't like that one. Can you explain how Purdy choked in the Super Bowl? He don't like that one.
Agree. Purdy did not choke. No.
Can I have him on with his
No.
All right, before we move on, this is the time on, you know what? I'm going to save the Saints prediction. We're going to come back. We're going to make our Saints prediction as the last thing we do. That'll be the last thing we do on Friday before we say goodbye to Larry. So I'm going to come back to this slide in a moment. So we'll come back to the Saints, but for right now, let's move on to week 1 in the NFL. But before we do, we're going to make it, and I don't want to show the slide yet because it's got our predictions on there. I'm just going to say this before I move on to the next slide. When Larry and I made our postseason predictions, I forgot to ask him earlier in the week, and it was like last night, I don't know, 9 o'clock or something. I'm like, sorry, last minute. And I had my stuff ready. Can you send me your AFC Championship game, your NFC Championship game, and your Super Bowl predictions? And he sent it back. And if I didn't know any better, I thought he was cheating off my paper. I mean, this is ridiculous. I don't know that I've ever seen anything like this where we did not talk to each other before we made these picks. But here they are. I mean, this is absurd, Larry Holt. That means the Bengals and the Packers, they're doomed. They're ruined.
They have no chance.
They have absolutely no chance. These are our predictions. He sent them to me. He's got Green Bay beating San Francisco in the NFC Championship game. Bengals beating the Chiefs. I've got Green Bay beating the Eagles in the NFC Championship game and the Bengals beating the Chiefs. And we both have the Bengals beating the Packers. And I can show you my future slips to back it up that I've bet on all this stuff already. Gabe Henderson's got the Texans beating probably the Panthers. Who knows? I don't know. But anyway, I mean, this is crazy talk here.
This goes against who I picked to win the NFC North. And this goes against who I picked to win the AFC North. So basically, I'm saying wild card teams ride momentum into the playoffs. And when I look, and I just alluded to it on purpose about betting against God, Patrick Mahomes. There are only two quarterbacks.
Well, we can change our minds in January if we want.
Well, what if neither team makes the playoffs? I mean, like last year, Bengals didn't even make the playoffs. Burrow gets hurt. Burrow's ascending, and then he gets hurt. So there goes that. But no, I made the illusion. There's only two quarterbacks that have eliminated Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs.
Joe Burrow
and Tom Brady.
Yeah.
That is it. And I'm going with that thought there. And I'm going with the thought that I think we're talking about Brock Purdy choking. That didn't happen. But the 49ers were extremely lucky to even get past Green Bay. I think Green Bay is an improved team. I think San Francisco is good enough to get there. It wouldn't stun me to say San Francisco gets back to the Super Bowl. I just think that Green Bay is just getting better and better, and I feel like Jordan Love is getting better and better. And you add someone like Josh Jacobs, I think it takes the heat off him. I think Green Bay's defense is good enough, and so I mean, that's why I picked where I picked, and then I'm not going against Joe Burrow in the Dome. I'm just not.
Nope.
I'm not doing it.
All you regulars out there, and anybody who wants to, really, doesn't have to be a regular, but give me your Super Bowl prediction, and I'll show it on the screen here. Tell me who's going to beat who. I will show it on the screen. Go ahead. Type it in now while we're talking. Gabe says Bengals are really doomed. Gabe likes the Bengals over the Eagles. So
this is never going to happen. They're going to go 6-11. We totally doomed them.
You know, it is what it is. Nick says, so we picking G. That's not the pick. That's just the line, Nick. We haven't given any picks yet. Those are not picks. The only predictions are there on the bottom right of the screen. If you can't see the screen, you listen to the podcast after the fact. Larry, I have on one side of the screen, I have the best games of week 1, which we'll get to in a minute, and we'll talk about them and make a prediction very briefly, like a minute on each one. And then on the right side of the screen, we've got our postseason predictions. Just told you, Larry likes Green Bay over San Francisco in the NFC Championship game. Bengals over Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, and Bengals over Green Bay. Mine are almost exactly the same. I have Green Bay beating the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, Bengals beating the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, in the Super Bowl. I also have Bengals over Packers. The only difference, Larry, is these are all division winners for me. So, Dylan Smith, Ravens Niners rematch in the Dome. That would be interesting, but I'm just going to say this, Larry Elder. Now's a good time to bring it up. I've said this for at least 4 years now, maybe since he got in the league. The Ravens will never, ever win a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson as their quarterback. Last night, to me, proves it. I mean, I know it's game one. I'm just saying, in the big game, something happens. I don't care how great he might play for 3 quarters or do this through 3.5 quarters or lead him on a touchdown drive here. But when it comes down to the brass tacks, he doesn't do it. Just saying.
Well, that offensive line is an issue. I knew it would be an issue. I studied it this offseason, and so many pieces to that puzzle have left or playing elsewhere, and that is going to be a problem. Now, look, granted, the Chiefs have one of the better defensive fronts in football. Chris Jones is you talk Aaron Donald. Chris Jones is now the Aaron Donald of the league.
As long as he's not on the field for like 10 snaps in a row, he's fine.
Well, you want to rotate some people in and out, but I mean, Chris Jones he's the best interior lineman in football.
He was last night, that's for sure.
I mean, he was last year, and Aaron Donald was still in the league. Yeah. So hey, that's not going to change. But I mean, if Isaiah Likely is his foot's,
I said if his
foot's like an inch shorter. And
I
then they
opened
go
with
2. You say they win the big, and you make it that, and you say they win the big game. So,
but he didn't, and they didn't.
I know
if he missed Zay Flowers was wide open, standing there by himself. I could have thrown that pass. I'm just saying that if something happens, There's always
video
happens.
Evidence that I might not have been able to throw that pass.
I don't know. Yeah, right. We've seen you play in the media flag football game, like we saw Luke Johnson the other day. Look. I think this is kind of what we're going to see over the year, and that's why I like the Bengals, because I actually think the Bengals are going to be back to full strength. Gabe puts in there that Jamar is a game time decision. We'll see. We got a lot of Super Bowl predictions, so I want to get to them. Thank you guys for putting them in. By the way, Big Sean disagrees. Big Sean, have you ever agreed with me? You just came to the show about a month ago. I love you. I mean, seriously, I want you to keep coming back. I want somebody who doesn't agree with me. You're fun. Jeff Haspel likes Green Bay over Houston. Okay.
That'd be a fun
but
matchup.
Gabe, you'd be okay with that if they made it to New Orleans, if they didn't win. Big Sean says Bengals if Joe's healthy versus Green Bay. Sounds
so he
familiar.
agrees with us there. There you go.
There you go. You agreed with me on that one. PBM 8264. Saints Ravens. I love your optimism.
Technically, some Saints players will be in town for the Super Bowl since
that's right. Cam Jordan will be there with a velvet jacket on interviewing.
Oh, he'll be Mr. Media in New Orleans. He'd be like the ambassador, like the city ambassador.
We're trying to get on Media Row for the Super Bowl. If you do, by the way, you're gonna have to come down and do the show from downtown New Orleans. But if we do, we'll try to get Cam Jordan on, because I'm sure he'll be walking around somewhere. Uncle Big Nick says his San Francisco 49ers over the Bengals in the Dome. Perfect scenario. His Niners against Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Chris Kennedy, another optimistic soul. The New Orleans Saints against the Kansas City Chiefs. Y'all not picking. You got to pick winners. You got to pick winners too. And then he adds a little LOL to it. That's worth an LOL. Mike Prima. Chiefs over the Lions. That would be a fun Super Bowl. That would be.
Jim would be raking Dan Campbell over the coals, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably. Well, no, I'll tell him if I'm wrong. I'll tell you I'm wrong. I just don't say it. I don't get it. I don't think he's a head coach. I get you like analytics, but there's analytics and then there's goofball wackiness.
I don't necessarily. I don't study going for it. Those sort of. I study a lot of the individual player analytics. I don't necessarily. I leave some of that other stuff. I think sometimes you do outthink yourself.
Well, it didn't end up hurting him, but then Harbaugh, with his frustration, go for it on 4th down from on your own side of the 48-yard line and not getting it. That's just dumb. Brian Cavett, is it Cavett? I think it's Cavett, right? Jags over the Bears. Seriously, don't care, but let's go Miami over Packers. So I guess that means you're taking Miami over the Packers. No one's really talking about Miami. I don't particularly like them this season, but they could be a surprise pick for sure. That's an interesting division.
They need to beat better teams, playoff caliber teams regularly. They don't. Until they do, they're not even sniffing the Super Bowl.
Let's see. What else we got here? Jeff's got all kinds of predictions here. Let's see. I'm trying to read. I should let Gabe.
Put your glasses on, old man.
I really should. Oh, here you go. Here's somebody agreeing with me. PBM. Campbell is as dumb as a box of rocks. That rah-rah stuff can only take you so far. I'm not calling the dude dumb. I just want it to be known. See, there's dumb, and then there's just if I'm in a foxhole, I want Dan Campbell with me. He's going to get me out of there. I don't know how he's going to do it, but he's going to get me out of there. If it's 4th and 8 and you're down by 2 at the 23, I want to kick a field goal, so I don't want Dan Campbell as my coach.
What if you're up by God knows how many points and
he just does. Yeah, Gabe, thank you for taking this over. Ty, put it back up real quick. Dolphins over the 49ers. That would be interesting as well. Uncle Big Nick would like it somewhat. Tyreek rushes off the field after the game to witness the birth of his 14th child.
Wow.
I don't even know where to go with that.
He's challenging Antonio Cromartie. Is that what it is? Or Sean Kemp? Or I could go on.
The viewers are having fun. That's what we're supposed to do here on Friday morning. We want you to talk to us. Even, we've had some funny, weird comments this morning. I like it. Chris Kennedy says the New Orleans Saints are going to win the Super Bowl. Undefeated. He's been saying it. I got to give it to him. So if they go 17-0, Chris Kennedy, Larry Holder's getting, if they go 17-0, Larry Holder's getting bumped on whatever Friday after that game. Well, no, I guess you can come on Monday and ruin my Derry's dime. You're going to be a guest on this show if they go 17-0. Ty says he's just picking against the Niners because Nick's in here. I don't blame you. All right. And Big Sean says our defense and new offensive scheme are the only two things that give him at least a bit of Super Bowl hope for us. I'm glad you have a little bit of Super Bowl hope, Sean. I do not. Although I say that, and my son laughed at me because just in case, Larry, just in case, I want it to be known so no one says I'm, whatever. I put $19 on the New Orleans Saints to win the Super Bowl, just in case it pays $2,000 if it wins.
$19.
Yeah.
19.
I mean, I've blown $19 on some kind of HDMI cord that I didn't use.
Not 20, not some round number, 19.
Right. I wanted it to be weird. It was a weird pick. It is what it is.
You're betting a prime number. Good for you.
If you want to keep giving your postseason picks or want to talk about something this week, go ahead and type it in. That you're not right, UBN. $19 a 5-unit bet. Just because I don't bet $1,000 a game, I don't make the kind of bucks that you make. I can't bet the kind of money you bet. But no, my unit is not 19 divided by 475 or whatever. All right, let's talk about the best of week one. And look, first time the season season opening game playing on a Friday. We had Kansas City and the Ravens last night. This could be the NFC Championship game, and I have already predicted that it's going to be. Green Bay and the Eagles playing what in Brazil? The Eagles are a 2-point favorite as of this morning, over under of 50, which is super high in my opinion. What do you see in this game?
I think it's an interesting matchup for sure. I mean, there's a reason why it is placed where it is in the hierarchy of the NFL. Obviously, the NFL.
They put it on the Peacock network.
Yeah, obviously, the NFL buys these two as viable Super Bowl contenders. And it's really, and you know me, I'm so big quarterback heavy for me. It's a quarterback who was extremely ascending as the season was ending last year with Jordan Love, and a quarterback who was kind of falling with Jalen Hurts. And you look at last year, and I was just looking at these numbers even not 10 minutes before I was coming on the air, where last year, I mean, Jalen Hurts had some of his worst games toward the end of the year, along the same plane as the Eagles. I mean, he threw 15 interceptions last year. The year before, he only threw 6. And so obviously you want that number to drop. But you also look at it, and it's the underplayed storyline probably of this one, but Josh Jacobs is now a Packer. Saquon Barkley is now an Eagle. And I know fantasy players are looking at both of those guys and saying, all right, those guys are going to be primary backs for them. How well can each of them do? And if the success of, say, Jacobs, if he could be anywhere near the guy we saw 2 years ago, and if Barkley can be the guy we saw rookie year and even parts of last year, or the year before, I'm trying to remember which year Barkley had a really good year, these offenses will be improved, and it takes some heat off the quarterback. And so I think that's you've got some star power, some name power, and two teams that we both think that will be fighting for Super Bowl contention as even starting now and all the way throughout the season.
What's your pick?
Green Bay. I can't go against my my Super Bowl pick in week 1, so I am going with the Packers on this one.
I'm also going with Green Bay. My NFL picks column is on bet.nola.com. You can see it all in print. I'm just saying. I said Kansas City 26, Baltimore 20 in my NFL picks column. I'm just saying. I said 23-20 Packers. So that means I like the under. I didn't get the under right. It was actually a push. It was 47 last night. So anyway, I like the Packers too. I think that Jordan Love is going to take a big step forward. I think they're going to win the NFC North. I know you picked Detroit to win the NFC North, and they'll choke later. That's think
basically what I think. Yes,
I think overall, and I know people are going to say I'm crazy because Detroit has so many pieces. They have the best offensive line in football, or one of them. I just think Green Bay overall is going to be a little bit better. Rocky, you're late. No worries. You can go back and watch the Saints part of it later. But hold on, because we're going to have our Saints prediction before we go off the air in about 7 or 8 minutes. So we both got Green Bay +2, and I think we both think they went outright. So there you go. Money line +110 if you want to make a bet on that. It's not one of my best bets. If you would watch yesterday's show, you'd know that. But let's go on to the Rams at the Lions. This line keeps moving toward Detroit because Aunt Mabel and Drunk Joe at the bar, they love them some Detroit Lions. Rams are 4.5-point underdog now with a money line of +170. The over-under is 52. That is a big number. What say you, Larry Holder?
I have gone Detroit, and I only do money line picks. So, I mean, that's for what
fair
we
enough.
do for what we do at the Athletic.
Yeah, that's fair enough
in our picks panel. So, yeah, I'm going Lions straight up. I feel like the player to watch on the Lions this year to me is Jameson Williams. I thought he was the best receiver coming out that year if he doesn't get hurt. Of course, he's had a weird career of trying to come back from injury, suspended due to the gambling things that he did. I mean, like, he didn't bet on the Lions or anything, so otherwise he'd be out the league. But yeah, I said it during our preview of the NFC North. One of the bigger acquisitions to me in the offseason was DJ Reader, interior defensive lineman for Detroit. It gives them a bigger presence there. Their secondary has been revamped, fresh new corners across the board for them with a familiar face, Carlton Davis, who is a longtime starter with Tampa. And so offensively, I think the Rams can be very good. I'm wondering about the loss of Aaron Donald and their starting quarterback, Darius Williams. I'm blanking on Darius Williams. Yeah. He's now out 4 weeks, and that's a blow to him. And opposite him, they have Tre'Davious White. Can he stay healthy? So all of that,
he's had trouble doing that.
Right. All of that. Yeah. So I guess, I'm talking bigger picture here, but add it all up. I think Detroit wins this game heads up. Straight
all up. Right. This is one of my upsets of the week. I actually think not only the Rams cover, and it's actually one of my best bets of the week, but I think they win outright.
Woo! Hello.
I think that, look, Sean McVay's got a little something for Jared Goff. They played a really tight game in the NFC wildcard game last year, which was one of the most fun games of the weekend. It was a great game. I think these teams match up well against each other. I wouldn't touch the over-under. I predicted 27-24, which technically would be under, but I could easily see this be like a 30-28 kind of game. But I just think, look, I think the Rams are improved. I know they lose Aaron Donald, but I'm not certain how big of an impact he's had in the last year of his career anyway. There's a reason why he retired. But I think that the Rams on offense are solid as long as Matt Stafford stays healthy. Obviously, Cooper Kupp has had his issues staying healthy. Puka Nacua came out of nowhere. I just love this offense. I like this team, and McVay looks hungry again. I think this Rams team is even going to take a step from where they were last year. I'm not saying they're going to win the division in the NFC West, but it would not surprise me if the Rams go past the 49ers and win the NFC West. That's how much I think of LA, and it's going to be a fun game to watch. So there you go. Nick changes bet to get the 4.5, not 3. No, too late. We go by whatever the lines are when we record. Sorry, sir. All right, final game here before we get to the Saints picks. Monday Night Football. Dun, 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 dun. Jets at the 49ers. Aaron Rodgers, he's all healed up, at least for now, until the fourth play of this game. Who knows? But they go into San Francisco or Santa Clara, actually, as a 4.5-point underdog. This line has also moved. It was 3.5. Everybody's betting on them Niners. 43.5 is the over-under. Larry Holder, what you got?
I took San Francisco. I am as curious as, well, I guess some people are tired of Aaron Rodgers, but I'm certainly curious to see how Aaron Rodgers plays, if he can do anything that has ever been advertised about this. And the Jets defense, certainly one of the better units in the NFL. The Jets offensive line, they have certainly made some improvements there, specifically to the left side. Adding Tyron Smith and adding John Simpson, who was a big loss for the Ravens, like that. So that's one piece they lost, and he was one of the better guards in the NFL in terms of pass blocking. And so do the Jets have a chance to win that division? I think so.
I agree.
But do I see them going into San Francisco and winning week one? I do not.
Gabe Henderson says Super Bowl losers are 5-19 against the spread in week one the following season. Well, it's a good thing that in my picks column, I picked the Jets to cover. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the Jets won the game, but I am going to pick the Niners to win the game, but the Jets to cover the 4.5-point spread. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be a very low scoring game. I actually like the under more than I like more than I like the spread. I think both these defenses are going to be balling out. So I like the under 43.5. What score did I pick? I predicted 19-16 Niners. So I will stick with that. Big Sean likes 49ers. Rodgers' age and rust will show. I got to see that his age and rust is going to show before I believe it. Aaron Rodgers has never shown me age or rust. Not that I can remember. Although he did look pretty bad in the Saints opener a couple years ago.
Yeah, let me drop a sneaky game I'm curious to watch that might not be on everybody's radar. I want to watch Texans-Colts.
Gabe will be watching Texans-Colts.
I want to see Anthony Richardson, if he can be the player that is advertised after the shoulder injury last year. And I want to see the new look Texans. I mean, I think that is
he's a bum.
I mean, and obviously there's so many storylines going across the league. All the rookie quarterbacks, Kirk Cousins making his debut against maybe Russell Wilson, maybe Justin Fields, depending on Russell Wilson's calf. So week one always brings the storylines, but I think that one to me, a sneaky one I want to watch.
Big Sean, you'll be shocked to know that I disagree with you. Texans will kill the Colts. I got the Colts. I think the Colts win a squeaker, but I agree with you. It's going to be a really good game. Larry, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Gabe says Big Sean doesn't know the series history. It's almost never a drubbing. It'll be a fun one to watch. All right. It is that time on Friday when we go back to them New Orleans Saints and make our picks. Saints, Panthers. So I'm going to force you in an indirect way to give me a spread pick, because I am going to ask you what your final score is for Saints-Panthers.
I'll make a spread pick. Let's go 24-20 Saints.
Oh, so you're going to go right on the number.
Oh, +4. Yeah, I was looking more at the over-under. But yes, so I will go 24-20 in Blake Groupie. I trust, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I think the Saints are going to win. I just think that maybe the Panthers offense shows a little bit of life. Again, like the Panthers did a concerted effort of beefing up that offensive line. I think that could help Bryce Young feel a little bit more comfortable in the pocket. But I do think that the Saints offense can do just enough to win this one.
I think this is going to be a lot like last year's opener against the Tennessee Titans. Ugly. That's what I have a feeling this is going to be. I predicted Saints win 18-17, which means they don't cover, and I don't like it. And here's a little tidbit, a note for you. By the way, I have a Saints Trends column coming out Sunday morning, as I did all of the last couple of years. PBM says Saints win 24-13. Nellie Smith, welcome to the show. Saints going to barely win 21-20. Well, we got basically the same thing. So I said 18-17. The Saints have won 5 straight season openers. 3 of the 5 have been by 2 or fewer points. There you go. There's a little tidbit. I think this one's the same. 18-17. Saints win it. And obviously that means going under. So we'll see if that works. I don't know.
17. You make me like I don't even want to watch it if that's the score.
I didn't say anyone's going to want to watch it. I'm just saying what I think is going to happen.
Oh, I think people will want to watch it.
Yeah. All right. Well, you're looking forward to not this one. You're looking forward to Texans and
Look,
Colts.
I'm watching the Saints. I'm going to watch Saints Panthers. I mean, I got to watch out the whole league, but I will watch.
I'll be in the dome. I'm going to try to watch the NFL ticket or Sunday ticket while I'm in the dome, or have it on the Red Zone channel. But as you know, the Wi-Fi in the press box of the Superdome might be the worst Wi-Fi in any press box on the planet.
Press box, Superdome, worst. That is usually in the same sentence whenever it's discussed. No question.
Big Sean has faith in the defense. Saints 20-10. Uncle Big Nick Stubb has tickets for $11. So y'all can sit home with Larry and watch the game. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. We will see you next Friday, my friend.
Will do.
Enjoy.
We'll be here.
Enjoy the sun. Enjoy your first full Sunday. We'll see you next week.
Oh, I can't wait.
See you later. All right. Before we wrap up the show today, I got to call my script. That's one good thing about Larry. I don't even have to look at any kind of script. I got a few more things to say, so don't go anywhere just yet. Before we wrap it up, though, let me tell you a bit more about how Evangeline Securities can help figure out what your family, privately owned business might be worth, whether it's time to sell, whether it's time to go lay out on a beach, move to Vegas, and gamble your retirement away. We don't care. Whatever you want to do. Well, you can get help from Evangeline Securities. How do they do it? Well, after their by the way, we don't suggest that you go to Vegas and gamble your retirement. Just disclaimer alert. I know Nick Braden is probably listening going, don't tell him that. Anyway, after they give you their complimentary valuation of your company, complimentary, you get it. If you decide to proceed, our native New Orleanian experts, the aforementioned Nick Braden, Ron Hemelt, and the folks at Evangeline will begin an extensive auction process from established private equity funds from around the world. And they'll maximize the return process for the founder and his or her family. One thing is certain, Evangeline will never have their toe on the white line, no matter how big their shoes are, with the game hanging in the balance. No. And they also won't tell you they think it's a touchdown when it isn't. Did you see Lamar Jackson after the game? Yeah, I got to talk about that in a minute. You'll find out everything you need to know by getting in touch with Nick and Ron, because Evangeline is the top producer on their platform. There are very few companies like them in this area, and none with their dedication and success. They are fully licensed and ready to serve you, so get in touch with Evangeline Securities about what's really important the rest of your life. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. Yeah, did you see that, by the way? Lamar? That wasn't a touchdown. That was a touchdown. No, it wasn't, Lamar. His toes on the line. Touchdown. Not a touchdown. Whatever. Rocky says 27-13. Big Sean says, oh, yeah, it's the defense and Taysom Hill. I think we're going to see a lot of Taysom Hill. I am, in fact, of everything that's going to go on Sunday, I think I'm most interested to see how they use Taysom Hill. All right. We got an Eagles fan. You'd fit right in, Andrew. Welcome to the show, my friend. It's a long one. As an Eagles fan, Saints fans, with the way Spencer Rattler played this preseason, should the Saints reconsider naming Spencer Rattler the starting quarterback for week 1 over Derek Carr? Yes or no? Also, do I think Spencer Rattler will help the Saints make the playoffs instead of Derek Carr? Yes or no? I thank you for being a new friend to Dattitude. But no, I don't even think Spencer Rattler is the number 2 quarterback. My opinion. The Saints currently, I guess we're going to find out by Sunday who the official number 2 quarterback is. Because right now on the depth chart, it's Jake Haener or Spencer Rattler. But to think that Spencer Rattler should be listed above Derek Carr, no. First of all, they would never do it. So it doesn't really matter what you or I think. They would never do that. Second of all, even if he is going to become something big in the future and proves me 100% wrong, and that the Saints are smarter than a 5th grader because they drafted him in the 5th round and no one else in the NFL wanted to take a shot on him before then. So the Saints are really that much smarter than everybody else? We'll find out. Because I do think at some point he will get some sort of chance. I just don't think it will be this season. If Spencer Rattler plays one down, well, I can't say that because he could come in on some weird play if he's active and they got 3 quarterbacks active. If Spencer Rattler starts one game this season, it means that Derek Carr is hurt, or the Saints are like 2-7. Nick says that Rattler shouldn't be listed above Taysom at quarterback. Taysom's not even listed at quarterback now, I don't think. He was listed at tight end officially. All the fantasy sites had to go and change their designations. He was listed as a quarterback in our league. We go by whatever the site. I don't want to give the site we use free pub. They don't deserve it. No offense. Just they don't deserve it. Anyway, they had him just as a quarterback, and we go by whatever they say. Whatever they say, that's what we go by. So the team that had him, and you can only have 2 quarterbacks before the draft in my league, the team had to cut him. So now, right after we had our draft, they changed the designation. So our site changed the designation. So now he's available to use it as a tight end. But no, my long-winded answer is I just don't think Spencer Rattler is going to contribute to this team. At least not this year. Again, I think the Saints will go into next year. If this turns into what I predicted, if the Saints are 7-10, you got to think there's going to be a new coach. A new coach probably also means a new offensive coordinator, unless for some reason they give Clint Kubiak the job, which I seriously doubt. The only way they would do that is if the offense were, if the offense is that much improved, we know the defense is going to be good. So most likely, if Dennis Allen's gone, Kubiak's probably gone too. That's the case. A new coach would come in, and then they would have to decide where Rattler is, because I do think that next year will be interesting. I'll say that. Because are they going to keep Derek Carr? These are all questions that we will talk about later. We want to keep it as positive as possible. I know how 80% of you feel about Derek Carr. You're ridiculous, by the way. You're wrong as well. That's a whole different story. You can't do it without an offensive line, and he didn't have one. Anyway, I hope I'm wrong. I don't hope I'm wrong about the outcome. We want the Saints to win. But I hope I'm wrong about it being a snoozer, because I think it's going to be ugly. I know, Big Sean, you hate Derek Carr. Why is Derek Carr not the guy? Tell me why. Every single metric, stat you want to look at, eye test, in my opinion. Derek Carr is not Drew Brees, but Drew Brees is gone. He's never coming back. That's Derek Carr's biggest problem. He's the first legitimate, this is the starting quarterback. And I'm not, any other quarterback since Drew left has been a placeholder. Jameis never got a real chance except for the season he started a couple years ago, but got hurt. So it's a fact. So Derek Carr is he's the first guy that the Saints have invested in to be a quarterback. And he's not Drew Brees. He could be the 6th rated passer in the NFL, and y'all would still hate him. You just hate him because he's not Drew Brees. I don't understand. You like Spencer Rattler because he's different. I think Spencer Rattler is the 3rd best quarterback on this team. And I think the gap between 1 and 2 is not close. This guy's a moron. Say whatever you want. Just telling you what I think. Uncle Big Nick. Nobody in the roster better quarterback than Carr. That's not even close. Brian Cabot, I love Carr. O-line is his issue. There's no doubt. He's got the 32nd best offensive line, which, in case you're mathematically uninclined like myself, that means last. The Saints have the worst offensive line in the NFL. But yet they're going to still blame Carr, I promise you. You're still going to blame Carr. If the Saints play like crap on offense on Sunday and Carr gets sacked 7 times, you'll blame it on Carr. Carr's terrible. When are they going to get rid of him? When are they going to start Rattler? Blah, blah, blah. It's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming. PBM agrees. Brian says I'm 100% right on the quarterbacks. Big Sean, can Carr get a team to a Super Bowl? How do you know? How do you know he can't get you to a Super Bowl? I'm going to be honest, Big Sean. This is my opinion. There ain't a quarterback on the planet right now that can get this team to a Super Bowl. Not a single one. God himself, who lives in Kansas City, Missouri, couldn't get this team to a Super Bowl right now. He just can't. Not until they do some real things and fix this offensive line. He can't do it. Be realistic. My biggest problem is, more than anything, is that he gets the blame for it. He and Dennis Allen get the blame for everything. I understand the Dennis Allen part. I don't necessarily agree. I don't 100% disagree either. Dennis Allen's got lots of problems. I'm much more on your side, on the fan side with Dennis Allen than I am on Derek Carr. But Derek Carr gets blamed for what? What would the Saints have done differently with, I don't know, let's pick Kirk. Let's say Kirk Cousins was the quarterback last year. What would the Saints have done differently last year? Not a GD thing. It'd have been the same exact season. The first 6 weeks last year was probably the worst OL performance that I've ever seen. PBM says that. And you know why? Because Trevor Penning was starting at left tackle. As soon as they put in Anders Pete, things got better. How long before Penning gets yanked this year? Don't know. Look, we can agree to disagree. If you hate Derek Carr, I'm cool with it. I mean, tell me. I'm just telling you I don't agree with you. Nelly says they don't think Derek Carr can play off schedule. I'm not sure. I can't see the emoji that's in there. Not sure. Is it the hands up emoji? I don't think Derek Carr can play. Do I believe? I'm not sure what that means, Nelly. But I think Derek Carr is a good enough quarterback with this defense. I mean, do I think they have a chance to win the Super Bowl? No, even though I put $19 on it just in case they shocked the world like the Texans did last year. No, I don't think they can win the Super Bowl. I think if they had a good offensive line, I think Derek Carr would be in the top 10 of quarterbacks. That's what I think. Big Sean says they would have won the division with Cousins. I don't agree. I don't think it would have been any different. And I don't think you hate Carr, Big Sean, but there are a lot of people who do, man. I think it's crazy. I think it's crazy the hate the dude gets. I wonder if he reads. You think he reads this stuff? I mean, if I was somebody like, and look, I get hate mail, but nothing like that. I mean, I've seen. I'm not even gonna get into it. I've seen some like really mean crap when it comes to Derek Carr. All right, we're gonna wrap up the show for today because I got a lot to do before my game tonight. Got to get ready for it. I got a football coach trying to get a hold of me. That can't be a good thing. Okay. Anyway. So let's see how that goes. All right, one more comment. PBM. Think Kubiak's system and OL coach, Brenton will help. We'll see. We're gonna find out. We might not find out in game one. I think it's gonna take him a little time. How much is Alvin Kamara gonna matter? I don't know. All right, we do have to wrap it up because I gotta go. Bye-bye. I want to thank our Friday friend Larry Holder. Well, he's my friend every day, and your friend on Friday, but you know what I mean. We all have one big bestie. It's Gabe Henderson. Y'all can root for the Texans if you want this weekend. I bet on the Colts, so sorry, Gabe. I don't think I can root him. Not this week. He'll be watching Texans Colts while we're all watching Saints-Panthers. I will be in the Dome. I'm going to try to do a Sunday night short, so you can come check on here on the YouTube page. It won't be on Facebook. You can come check on Dattitude. I'm going to try to do it from the Dome if I can get Wi-Fi in there. If not, I'll do it when I get home. But I'll have a quick 1-minute short on my reaction. Then next Monday, the first full dime, we'll have comments. We'll have it's just me and you. What did we say? Mono-y Monday? It's Mono-y Monday. We'll be having clips from Dennis Allen and some players and my thoughts. And good Lord, we need some good thoughts, at least in week one. We're going to have some Derry's dimes where I'm probably pissed off, but let's don't do it in week one. Let them just win this week at least. We'll go from there. Or about the Cowboys next week. Reminder to subscribe to our aforementioned Dattitude YouTube page. You can click the little bell to receive notifications when we go on the air live, and you can have access to all of our short takes. Every single short we've ever done is on there right now. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, many more. And you can find a replay of the show on NOLA.com/sports. You can check out Gabe Henderson and all his work at bet.nola.com. He's got all kinds of good stuff this weekend. All kinds of football picks, previews. Tom Casale's got some stuff on there. I mean, I'm writing a few things. I'm writing my NFL picks column. It will come out on Wednesdays. It came out yesterday this week. Also, we'll have a Saints Trends column for you on Sunday. A lot to check out there, bet.nola.com. And then all of our Saints Insiders guys, NOLA.com/Saints. Have a glorious weekend. Stay dry. And remember, if things start to go south for your New Orleans Saints, stay calm, stay off social media until you woo-saw for a little bit. We're going to try to woosah tomorrow before everything gets crazy again on Sunday. We will see you on Monday. Take it easy, my friends.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.